Only 28% of Americans says that the president inspires confidence.
I don't think he's gonna pull his shoe.
That was my phone.
This was the worst weekend in Joe Biden's entire life. There's never been a worse weekend for Joe Biden. Okay, and we've proven to you time and time again that Joe Biden didn't even care that much when a horrific, tragic car accident took the life of his wife and he used his kids as props in the hospital. Joe Biden is a cravenous, evil man who cares only about one thing, which is power. He cares only about one thing, which is his own political trajectory. And his political trajectory collapsed this weekend with a number of horrific signs. Abandon all hope, ye who enter here. Joe Biden is now down 10 points, according to what poll? The Alex Jones InfoWars poll, sponsored by Masculine Crow Bone Milk? Nope. The Washington Post ABC poll. That's right, a leftist lib poll that effectively over-indexes for Democrats. Polling is broken, right? If you were to get a phone call right now and someone's like, hello, my name is Steven, I'm from CNN. I'd like to ask you a few questions, Mr. Republican man. Would you be like, shut up, fad, click? Right? Probably. That's what I'd do. Or, give them a piece of your mind. You certainly wouldn't, play ball with them. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why these polls, if they show that Donald Trump is up 10 points, that means Donald Trump's up 20 points because they don't poll Republicans correctly. A reminder that on the day that Donald Trump won the presidency in 2016, the Washington Post ran a poll on the front of their A1 section saying that Donald Trump has a 0% chance of becoming president. This same Washington Post is now saying Joe Biden's polling disaster. President now with massive 10 points behind Trump following a week of embarrassing gaffes, United Nations and Congressional Black Caucus disasters. 10 points. A 10-point behind Trump. That's a landslide. That's a landslide. It's even worse. With independents, Joe Biden is down 13 points. Donald Trump is up 13 points. This shows one absolute, definitive, effective truth in American society is that the psyops do not work on us. We are too smart. We have too many avenues to get real information and real news from. It doesn't work. Your whole Bidenomics push, everything's going great. It hasn't worked. It's all falling to pieces. Americans understand that when our grocery bills have tripled or quintupled, when our gas prices are at $4 a gallon, when no young people can afford homes, when our dollar is worth less than it's ever been, and when all of our money is not going to fund homeless veterans on our streets, but going to pay for Ukrainian farmers and civil service agents. Do you know that's where the money that we're sending to Ukraine? 60 Minutes had we can't play it because it's copyright, but 60 Minutes has this big expose this weekend on how we're not just paying for military in Ukraine, we're paying for their public services. We're paying their farmers. We're buying seeds for their farmers. We're funding the entire Ukrainian economy. It's all 100% propped up by America. Yet our veterans sleep on the streets and eat out of trash cans. Military families can't find decent or affordable housing in this country. It is infuriating to people. And now the inflection point and the revenge point is officially here, ladies and gentlemen. Check this out. Here's the official poll. Donald Trump, if the election were today, winning in a 40-state landslide. Watch.
So this poll caught our eye, and it's going to get a lot of attention, and it's going to rattle a lot of cages because it's from the Washington Post, and it's Washington Post ABC. Look at that number. There's two reasons. I mean, first of all, that's Trump above water at 52%.
Yes.
It's a huge number. That's a 10-point lead. If the election were held today, who would you vote for? 52% Trump, 42% Joe. That's after the indictments. That's after the first debate. That is a huge number, and that's going to a lot of people that's going to be splashed across the pages of the Washington Post.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment. We have been telling you for a very long time, you cannot hold back the forces of failure inside of this country, and everyone's seeing it. Insane stories from this weekend. For instance, Volodymyr Zelensky and Justin Trudeau in Parliament are honoring Nazis in Canada. Nobody likes that. We're going to get to that story in a moment, but like the people are beginning to see this. There's a Border Patrol agent who was like left bloodied and had like the word rat carved on his forehead. That's breaking this morning. The border is just an absolute unmitigated disaster. Who knows how many terrorists we've allowed into this country? Guys, things aren't going well. And people, the American public, they're not stupid. They see it. They understand it. They feel it. These are flashing red lights. Even CNN is now officially hitting the nuclear panic button. Watch.
If you're the Biden team, you're not feeling too great about those polls.
Yeah, and I actually don't think it's the head-to-head horse race number that concerns them the most. I think it's some of the numbers underneath. Yeah. I mean, his approval rating on the economy is dismal. His approval rating on immigration is dismal. He's got some of the highest disapproval that has been recorded at this point for presidents in modern history. And there are pieces of his own coalition that are not where they should be. Republicans have an enthusiasm advantage. So there are a lot of red lights, like going off every which way in every poll that they see. This is a reelect for the Biden team that is going to be uphill.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This is going to be a disaster. What do they have planned for this disaster? I mean, that's the thing that we're going to be watching out for. What special little thing are they planning on slipping in at the very last minute? What little scam do they have next that they're going to try? How are they going to psyop the American people? I don't think it's going to work because people know what the price of eggs, milk, and butter are. People know what the price of gas are. People know what their mortgage rates are. And that's why 72% of Americans are dissatisfied with Biden's economy, according to an NBC News poll. Huh? What?
There's just this simple question of job approval. Barely 40% approve of Joe Biden's performance.
And we have to note 56%. That's the highest disapproval rating for President Biden since he took office. That's significant.
Yeah, so let's take a look at what's driving that too here. In one big area, no surprise, it is the economy. Look at this contrast. This is April of 21, months after Biden took office. Nearly half the country was satisfied with where the economy was then. Now, barely 1 in 4 Americans satisfied with the economy.
So there is a issue that Democrats have. And obviously this is why there is effectively zero border control inside of our country. The issue is that it doesn't really as much as Democrats want to make it about the color of your skin, it doesn't really matter. An interesting thing about a collapsing economy is that it affects all people equally. Now, Democrats, of course, have over-indexing on the black and Latino vote. Latinos tend to be split a little more evenly, but the black vote's like 90% Democrat. Black vote went 90% for Joe Biden. And so when you begin to erode or lose that vote, the system can't take it, right? The white vote predominantly goes to Republicans. The black vote in this like little mess, this like coalition that they're trying to like build there, the coalition of the dispossessed, right? Victimhood coalition, the Obama coalition where you just effectively abandon working class whites and then you try to cobble together sort of this brand new coalition of the Democrat Party. If you lose percentage points there, if Latinos start voting like 50-50 Republican Democrat, as white voters did actually for the majority of the American electorate history, if you lose small percentages in those demographic groups, then you lose in landslides. If you get like, say, 75% of the black vote, Democrats lose in landslides. These are the real panic buttons that they're hitting. This is the stuff that really like sends them flying over the cliff. Watch.
This, as our new poll shows, the president's approval among black voters is down 17 points since the first year of his presidency. Mr. Biden is also down by double digits among Latinos, voters without a college degree, and independents. And as we mentioned, 59% of Democratic primary voters tell us they want to see a challenger to President Biden.
They want to see a challenger. So Democrats are saying, can we send this order back, please? the fries are soggy, and he has diaper rash. We are done with this guy. We're done. Democrats are saying now that they are looking for an alternative to Joe Biden. Expect that to be something that we cover quite a bit on this program. Something is amiss. I don't know what it is. Guys, I don't know what it is, but something is amiss. They're gonna pull the old switcheroo. I know it. I can sense it in my bones. And you have Democrats saying that they're planning on running against Joe Biden, actually. Now, like, elected Democrats. Of course, you have Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's running. And we think he's great. We've invited him on the show. Like, come on the show. You know, speak for yourself. We think he makes a lot of great points on a lot of different things. Cornel West is running against Joe Biden. There are now elected members of Democrats in the House that plan on running against Joe Biden. And why is that? Well, because according to ABC, Americans overwhelmingly say that they are not feeling good about the economy and that the president is to blame. 30% approve of Joe Biden's performance, a career low.
Americans overwhelmingly say they are not feeling good about the economy and that the president is to blame. Just 30% approve of his performance on the economy, a career low, largely dragged down by pocketbook issues for families, like food prices that have risen 4.3% since last year. Our poll showing more than 9 in 10 Americans rating them negatively. Voters across the country telling ABC News they are frustrated.
Costs a lot more to buy a loaf of bread these days.
We're all trying to survive. We can't even work 2 jobs at this point and try to make it.
I don't think that anybody is really paying attention to the working man.
This is why people are so furious with Oprah and The Rock. We've done like so many stories on this. Oprah and The Rock coming forward and being like, hey, yo, give us money so that we can funnel it through our entertainment industry fund and give it to Maui so we can make the Hawaiian paradise island that we are the biggest landowners on. We can make it nice because we want to go vacation there again. This is why people are so repulsed by that. The disconnect between the elite, between the top 1%, between the ruling class and the average American, and you're talking like people who make $150,000 a year, according to CNBC, are like unable to get by. You're reaching crisis levels here, and they're blaming Bidenomics. According to that same Washington Post ABC poll, people are not buying the Bidenomics messaging. 74% of the country, that's 3/4 of America, say the economy is either not good or downright poor. Watch.
When you dive into the big questions around the economy, we know President Biden has been out there trying to make the case. Unemployment is low. He's been talking about how inflation has been easing, but people aren't buying it. You covered some of the reasons why. Gas prices, food prices, grocery prices, and the like. Right now, on the big picture on the economy, 74% of the country, that's about 3/4 of Americans, who say the economy is either not so good or downright poor.
Well, why could that be? Is that because of right-wing? Is that because of the right-wing smears that the right-wing conspiracy theories coordinated to dirt? Why are your voters turning against you? Because of you, man. Because of you. Trump handed you the best economy in American history, and people remember this. People remember this. Hey, Alex, can we grab that footage of the people waiting in line for the Trump rally today? There's a line. I think Trump's giving a speech in South Carolina or North Carolina. There's like the speech doesn't go on until like 3 p.m., which means Trump won't take the stage until 5 p.m. And the entire town has been lined up since before the sunrise. People are now you're going to reach an inflection point where you just simply can't stop them. And maybe this is the weekend where that happened. Maybe. We'll see this week. Again, we have a Republican debate. We have Donald Trump giving a speech during that debate in Detroit to the auto workers. Joe Biden, this shows you exactly how much diaper rash Joe Biden has. Joe Biden is Joe Biden freaked out that Donald Trump was going to give a speech to the auto workers, and Joe Biden now is going to come in a day before. So Donald Trump's going to do it on Wednesday. Joe Biden's going to fly in Air Force One a day before to give a speech to cut in under Trump. Oh, but Joe Biden has no time to go to East Palestine. When Joe Biden goes to Maui, he makes jokes about how hot it is to the firefighters and then tells everyone that he's the victim of the real fires. We'll be following this closely. Trust me. That happens tomorrow. Joe Biden flies in. Man, this is how much small energy Joe Biden has. He has to. Donald Trump is so running this race right now. The Joe Biden with Air Force One and the military and an entire Joe Biden, he's in complete control of everything, right? He has to fly in. His plastic hair and plastic teeth on fire because Donald Trump is going to give a campaign speech. And he has to try and kick the stool out from under him. Man, desperation, baby. Desperation. 87, speaking of the auto workers, fossil fuels, energy, gas prices, pretty big deal, right? You can't even drive your car, much less buy a new one if you can't afford gas. 87% of Americans, 90% of Americans have a negative view of energy prices. Gas prices and utility bills soar under Biden. Check it.
Nearly as many upset about gas and energy prices after a brutally hot summer. The national average for a gallon of unleaded gasoline this week hitting $3.88 per gallon, according to AAA, the highest level in nearly a year.
We just drove through California yesterday. Gas was $6.39 a gallon.
And that's ridiculous, in my opinion.
People can't afford rent.
So, is there anything? Is there anything that Joe Biden's doing? It's very interesting because I've never seen... My 3-year-old does this, where if she doesn't want to go to bed, she'll try and distract you, right? She'll come up with excuses as to why she shouldn't go to bed. And so she'll try and dangle shiny things in the corner. Like Joe Biden will bring Dylan Mulvaney to the White House, right? Or do you remember when Joe Biden had Trans Day of Visibility, and there were a bunch of topless activists standing in front of the White House, jiggling their unmentionables? Holy Moses! Joe Biden going and giving whatever stupid speeches that he has on the client. Nobody cares. It doesn't matter when your Maslow's hierarchy of needs are not being met. When you can't afford rent, food, gas, shelter. Those things don't care. And when you feel unsafe in your own communities. And this is the most cutting edge on this poll with a lot of sharp edges, the southern border. 23% of Americans approve of Biden's handling of the southern border. Watch.
Authorities announcing there were more than 232,000 migrant encounters at the southern border in August, the highest monthly total this year. The president says his policies are working.
We put in place policies that process people in a fair and fast way.
But our poll shows only 23% approve of his handling of the situation, another career low.
Oh, baby. Do you know any Latinos? There's a huge Cuban population here in Tampa, for instance. There's an entire section of Tampa called Ybor City that's viewed as Little Havana, right? Or rebuilt, Havana. And the architecture represents that, and the sculptures and things like that, park benches and so forth. Man, I got to tell you, my first day coming down to Florida, there was an anti-Castro, anti-communism parade down my street, led by the Cubans. So based. So unbelievably based. The people who come to this country do not like the open border. The people who fought to come to this country, came to this country legally, have been in this country, they don't like the open border. They don't want the open border. They don't like communism. They didn't escape Cuba for further communism. There's going to be a snapback on these policies, and now you are seeing it. And this is the most damning part of the poll. And I know we're spending a lot of time on this, but it's important to dissect all of it. Because there isn't a single good data point in this poll for Democrats. You are finally seeing the metastasized cancer that you have wrought on this country come full circle and kick you directly, squarely in the ass. Joe Biden is asked a simple question, which is always the question that needs to be asked. This is why they ran so many psyops against Donald Trump. COVID, the BLM protests, Antifa, peaceful protests, psyop. You have to give people this sense that everything is collapsing and falling to pieces, and then you can ask the question that everyone always asks at the precipice of any major election in America, which is, are you better off? This was a very, very successful question that was posed by Ronald Reagan in 1980. Are you better off? Jimmy Carter, very much a reflection of Joe Biden, perhaps even making Joe Biden's term, like, in comparison, make Jimmy Carter look like a good president. Sky-high interest rates on mortgages, crippling economy, massive unemployment, massive unaffordability to live in America, like a sense of a malaise, right? As Jimmy Carter would say it. Jimmy Carter, there's this great clip of Jimmy Carter in a sweater being like, you should really turn down your thermostats to save the climate. It's good to turn down. Make sure that your thermostats aren't set so high or low. I think it was about heating your house, right? Crazy stuff. But you could totally see Joe Biden doing that. The American public, we're not down. We're not down with that ish. The question is, are you better off? That's what people ask. Now, Donald Trump is running again. And so people remember the guy. Like, Donald Trump is a feeling. Donald Trump is like a memory that people have of full bank accounts and American prosperity returning. And American greatness, like, sort of on the rise once more. And things actually going quite well in this country. Things actually going pretty great in this country. And so the question was asked in this poll, do you feel better or worse about what's going on? Were you better off 4 years ago? They had to run psyops against Trump. COVID. You had to create COVID in the laboratory. Yeah, it all had to. It's amazing how these things were like all. We got to get smarter as a party. How these things were like stacked up against them, one after another, in order to create this idea that Donald Trump was like wrecking everything and destroying everything. Wherein the numbers actually belie that Donald Trump was arguably, by the numbers, the best president of my lifetime. Are you better off with Joe Biden after 4 years? Watch.
These numbers are simply staggering for the sitting president. 44% of people in this poll say they are not as well off as they were at the start of the Biden administration 2.5 years ago. Those are the worst numbers that we've seen in our ABC News Washington Post polling. It's a question we've been asking going back to the Reagan administration.
So this is why there are people lined up the street, down the block, around the corner, in a small town in South Carolina, Summerville, South Carolina. Check this out. This is a clip from 8:30 a.m. this morning, waiting for Donald Trump to speak at 5 o'clock. Watch.
So, enjoy yourself. Have a good time.
All right.
How are you? Yes, sir. Let's go, Trump. Wherever you see a camera come by, wave at him. Just tell the world what's up.
Woo!
Dude, I love that guy in the American flag overalls. Command is my spirit animal. Somebody who is very much an animal, somebody who acted like an animal with East Palestine. I mean, acted like a deeply craven, soulless, evil force is this man named Pete Buttigieg. Now, I really, the East Palestine issue really hits me in the heart and the soul. I'm from the Midwest. I care about this. If you're watching from Ohio, shout out to you. This absolute monster, Pete Buttigieg, he wouldn't visit these people. He wouldn't help these people. Joe Biden still has not gone there. Pete Buttigieg arguably had the worst couple weeks of any administration official ever during the East Palestine chemical disaster, where they effectively just dropped a chemical bomb on a little town. Town just so happens to be in the Rust Belt, forgotten. Trump voters, a lot of Trump voters live there. I was there. There are Trump signs everywhere. We traveled to East Palestine, try and do some good for these people. And thank you for supporting our show, because you allow us to go out and do that. Pete Buttigieg was somehow inexplicably the person tapped to be dragged on TV to try and explain this horrific slaughterhouse of a poll. Tell me, how do you think he did? Watch.
What
do you say to the 44% of Americans who say they are worse off now than they were before Biden took office?
Well, look, we all know the economic pressure that Americans have felt when the president took office. The economy was flat on its back. But we're also getting extraordinary results. More than 13 million jobs created. That's more than any presidential term in American history. And yes, it takes a while for people to feel the full benefits of those results, just like it's going to take a while to build all of the infrastructure that we're now underway on with the president's generational infrastructure bill. But he got the bill done after president, Congress after Congress couldn't make it happen. He did. We're getting the results on the economy.
Oh, it's going to just take a while. Got it. Okay, got it. Hey, honey, why is the credit card bill so high? We don't have this amount of money in our bank account. Oh, honey, sweetheart, like, wait till you see the results. They're going to take a while. But really, my new Peloton, and my new vacuum cleaner, and the new jam jar set that I ordered, the results are going to take a while. You're going to see the effects, though, soon. You really will. You'll see them. It's worth it. They're such frauds. I love this headline from the Federalist. Poll shows that Democrat campaign strategy of indicting political opponents is backfiring horribly. Good. Yes, that is the major takeaway here, is that the more you indict Donald Trump, the more popular he gets. That's why we have his mugshot hanging in our studio. Democrat representative says he is considering a run against Biden after disastrous poll had him 10 points behind Trump. That's right. Democrat congressman could shake up the 2024 cycle after voicing the possibility of launching a bid against Joe Biden following disastrous polling. Dean Phillips, Democrat in Minnesota, says he's thinking about taking on Biden, has yet to face a serious challenge from his own party despite his age and unpopularity. So Dean Phillips of Minnesota, big Democrat stronghold there, is potentially going to jump in. I'm thinking about it. I haven't ruled it out, says the three-term congressman. Hot damn. Now, the reason that Joe Biden is president is, of course, because he's a member of a Marxist party that has, in the words of Donald Trump, schlonged the people that they don't want to be their party's nominee, whether that be Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump said Hillary Clinton got schlonged by Barack Obama. An all-time great quote from Trump. Or Bernie Sanders, who they screwed like multiple times. I mean, they just absolutely destroyed Bernie Sanders. Gave him a couple of houses as a severance present for stealing the nomination from him, which is exactly what they did. And how they do that? With the help of a guy named James Clyburn in South Carolina. James Clyburn, though, is not answering very forthrightly when it comes to the future of the party, especially when it comes to Kamala Harris, who is deeply disliked among black people and deeply disliked among all people, purple people, green people, blue people, every people. Listen to Clyburn, who's the guy who straight up, effectively fixed the nomination for Joe Biden by giving him the win in South Carolina when Joe Biden came in like 5th and 4th, remember that? In New Hampshire and Iowa, respectively. James Clyburn asked, is Kamala Harris the future of the Democrat Party? Oh, you're going to love this one. Get out your salt shakers. Go.
All right, well, let's turn to Vice President Harris. Do you see her as the future of the Democratic Party?
I see her as a part of that future, absolutely.
Is she the future, though? Is she the future of the Democratic Party?
Oh, she could very well be. I think she is running a very good campaign. Her speech last night was great, and I look to her as a successor to this president. But I also know the history of that as well. It's not a given. You don't automatically move up. She'll have to compete going forward with whoever may have dreams and aspirations, and I think she will acquit herself well.
Well, I know that you're saying you don't look at the polls too much, but our poll does show her favorability is actually lower than President Biden and even than former President Trump.